My name is Delaney Bruening, and I will be doing my informative speech.
Montana Cottle.
Haley Hanson. Charlie Johnson.
We all hear tragic stories on the news about people dying from drinking and driving. Families all around the country go through these experiences all the time. They go from having their family and friend alive to being in critical condition or even worse. Whether someone knows the driver or innocent bystander is hard for both families. Do you know someone who has been in an accident involved with drinking and driving? I'm here to inform you about drinking and driving. Drinking and driving has consequences, statistics no one wants to believe are true, and outcomes that tear families apart. Consequences. There are many consequences to drinking and driving. Some people think they're too harsh, and some think they're not harsh enough. One of the consequences is a DUI. A DUI is driving under the influence. Another one is DWI, which is driving while intoxicated. If you're caught drinking and driving, there are a few things that can occur. Temporary impoundment of your vehicle is one of them. Fine of several thousands of dollars, probation, jail time, depending on how bad the vehicle is or the accident is, and revocation of the driver's license. These consequences will get worse if you are a repeated offender. These offenses will most likely stay on your record for years to come. As you can see, the drivers get consequences, but not as bad as some of the innocent bystanders, who get hurt even more. Here are some statistics. Americans take 233 billion trips in cars each year. Of those, about one out of every 2,000 trips are taken by those who drive under the influence of alcohol. On average, about every 53 minutes, someone is killed by a drunk driver. In 2011, 9,878 people were killed by drunk drivers. 32% of fatal car crashes involve intoxicated drivers. It is hard to hear, but most crashes are leading causes of deaths for teens and young adults. In 2012, 29.1 million people admitted to drinking and driving. That is more than the population of Texas. Statistics show that drivers who drink may have causes such as drowsiness, disordered vision, impaired judgment, and unconsciousness, and decreased perception and coordination. After hearing all these symptoms that drinking causes, why would someone think it's a good idea to get behind the wheel and risk their lives and others? As for others, there could be worse conditions, such as a coma, disabilities, loss of body parts, loss of brain function, and death. These statistics are hard to hear. No one wants to hear about their loved one being in an accident or a drunk driver. Here are a few outcomes for drinking and driving. Outcome. Here's some stories that will break your heart. Chris is a 20-year-old boy who had come home for the weekend from college. He had 3 other friends that went to a different college, so they decided to all come home for the 3-day weekend. They were going to a campfire party. His parents got a call at 2:15 a.m. saying that Chris was involved in a car accident and they needed to come quick. When they got to the scene of an accident, they saw a kid laying on the ground with the EMTs around them trying to save his life, and then the car was wrapped around the tree upside down. Their son was airlifted to a nearby trauma center where he only lived for 17 hours. The 2 other passengers were seriously injured, while the 20-year-old driver was arrested for drunk driving. That was an example of a death that kids were drinking and had control over it. They could have not gotten in the car and they could have stayed at the place that they were at or called called someone to get help instead of risking their lives and others. And in that situation, they lost a friend that day. Here's another story. Here's a family that had no control over what happened. On April 13th, 2012, the Camacho family was going through their morning routines. Their dad was taking them to school. 16-year-old Brianne and 13-year-old Kaylee went to school. As usual, they were asleep in the backseat of the car. As they were on their way to the school, a drunk driver with a blood alcohol level of 3 times the limit ran a red light and hit the minivan going about 100 miles per hour. The collision tore the minivan apart. Brianne and their father survived with injuries, but for Kaylee, she was killed instantly. The family thought it was going to be just another normal day, and it turned out to be one of the worst days of their lives. One person can affect so many people's lives without knowing it. They do not think things through and can seriously hurt someone. As you can see, drinking and driving has consequences, statistics no one wants to hear, and outcomes that tear families apart. To some, the consequences are not harsh enough, and I would have to agree. People who get behind the wheel after they have been drinking know what they are doing to a certain extent. Statistics show that too many lives have been taken by intoxicated drivers. When people are willingly open to say that they have been drinking while intoxicated, we know that they have a society that is messed up. The 2 stories you hear may affect you to a certain extent, but imagine what the other families went through. People don't think before they act. Next time you see someone trying to drive while intoxicated, will you stand up and try to save their lives and others, or will you sit back and let it happen? That is your choice. Don't drink and drive.